Big shout out to Bean Working Espresso down in Skyring Terrace, Newstead.
Best coffee in the game.
Best absolute coffee in the game. Hook in the Platform podcast, and any listeners up with a 10% discount.
Shout out.
Shout out to Yolanda.
Yolanda.
That was a mouthful.
Their coffee's real fucking good. Get
Best coffee in the game, by far. Just opened up Skyring Terrace. You can order ahead and mention the Platform podcast for a 10% discount. This is the Platform podcast with B-Bad and Brandon. Everyone, whoever's listening to this needs to stop right now and go to the YouTube and just check out these things on our next guest's arm. These things between like his shoulder and forearm.
Is that a custom shirt? Like, how do you fit that in there?
Yeah, like how do you
fit it in there?
Let's start with what are they? Are they? I think it's a
vein.
A bicep
It's a bicep.
with a vein. Like
I actually feel quite small right now, so this is
doing great for my ego.
I don't have any of that.
I don't know
It's
what
a lump.
It just
Should
looks
you
like
go to the doctor to get that looked at?
you should probably get that checked.
Check. Look at
it's
Look at
yeah.
stain.
I am getting bigger shirts though, so
Just in the arm though, right?
Yeah, because you need them. And then if we look at the back, There's a thing. There's another lump.
Yeah, I can see.
There's
it's
like
back there.
two lumps, and they're kind of going like a horseshoe. I think that's a tricep. Never had those.
We'll have the Maddie secret arm routine.
Oh,
Download, click the link.
the bodybuilder / powerlifter combo.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. I was watching Matt bench the other day when I was benching, and his forearms are just like the most jacked.
It's just the left arm though. The left arm is really vascular, and the right arm is
Just the lefty.
lacking oxygen supply.
And on that segue, welcome to our next guest, Matthew Gorle.
Thank you.
Can we like put that on the soundboard? That was a brilliant sound.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Matt, first question.
Oh,
It's the
big
biggest
question.
It's a big
Biggest question in your life. It is 21 words, who you are and what you do. Not yet. We count the words, we count the sounds, we count everything. Brandon counts them. Are you ready? No pressure.
Is this ready count?
Are you ready? Go now. That's the sound. Oh,
Powerlifter, bodybuilder hybrid. Obsessed about everything human performance.
You're at 10.
Strategist, businessman. I've studied exercise and nutrition sciences.
You got 2 words left.
Underestimated.
That's one word. No, is that one word? Jace, is that one word? You got one more word, bro.
Driven.
Driven. Oh, that was a good word to finish on too.
ooh.
That was a really good 21 words.
It's a very good 21
I
words.
stumbled at the start, but we got there.
Oh, well, I like
I had to really think at the start.
it. Was really good though because, like you said in those 21 words, strategist, and at the start of that, we have never had anyone think about what they were going to say. Everyone's just been like anxiety driven. Oh my god, I've got 21 words. That was brilliant.
There was anxiety in the initial, but we recovered, so it's okay.
Mate, that was a very brief overview of what you do, and there's so much to unpack in that. Now,
You know what? I was supposed to open, because I did think about this, I was supposed to open on coach / gym owner. Completely fucked up.
like you didn't mention those two things at all.
I don't
That's
know,
probably
this place that we're in
that's about
podcasting that you own,
Yeah.
no big deal.
I like that. So, for those who don't know, you are the owner of Valhalla Strength in Brisbane. Just fixing the mic. And it dropped back to
We're good.
You just got to touch it.
It's fine.
Touch it to give it a little oomph,
Yeah. It's been, I think we're like 16 months in now, so since I've taken over.
Try twisting the top knob. That's not the top knob.
You just got to turn the knob. Just give it a bit.
We are just experiencing some technical difficulties.
No,
I'll just chill with this as we talk.
We can't get the thing to stabilize. This one. Yeah.
yeah,
It keeps drooping.
it's not a happy knob.
Let go. That'll do.
Cool.
Oh, thank you, Noah.
Oh, the sweet touch.
So yeah, it's been 16 months since you took over from Scotty. It's been a big 16 months, and
It has.
obviously I've had the privilege of being first hand to all the changes you made, and the gym's in a fucking good nick.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And there's a lot to go. There's a lot to go. I still walk in every single day and I'm just like, I've got this vision of what I want it to look like, and there's still a long way to go. Yeah.
Well,
but it's definitely
exciting.
better. We're definitely getting there, so it's cool. It's exciting.
Oh, the upgrades have been, I think, very welcomed, and everyone here, even in this room, has all been able to see the progression of what it was, which was already a sick gym, to now even, a greater gym where people are, it's a fucking sick place to train.
Yeah, it is, man. Fucking every single day we get to just walk in and be involved in this community. But it's the members and everything as well. Like, as much as I get to change the gym and hopefully shape it into the vision that we want it to be, it's still the members and you guys, the coaches, that kind of make it that too. So
Fuck yeah. And where did it start for you? Like, obviously you are one of the most jacked human beings I've seen. Were you that guy in high school that would go to gym?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I was the person in high school that would secretly train. My dad had like a little gym set in the garage, and I would train when I got home after high school, and had no idea what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I was the type of person that would do like the bicep curls every time before you went out to meet people.
Yeah,
because you were hoping your arms would be more jacked.
Yeah.
And it actually would do the opposite, because you deplete glycogen, you probably end up smaller.
But
What was your influence? Who was helping you or guiding you back then?
No
Was it
one, just winged it.
there's some weights I'll throw around.
I think I bought like a few little books from like Rebel Sport or something. This is like 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
And like your Arnold's Encyclopedia, and
Yes.
just dig whatever you could. Like, that we didn't have the internet back then.
Yep.
And back, like, 2006, 2007, I subscribed to bodybuilding.com.
Yep.
And that was like, back then, that was like the first bodybuilding forum. And people just spoke about lifting, but there was no education back then.
Yeah.
Like, no one was smart, and you didn't have access to
yeah.
the internet, which is huge. I think everyone's got a huge advantage these days, because before it was just like, who's in the gym, who's going to give you the advice,
Who's the biggest
and you
dude
just
in the corner?
you listen
You
to
find
them.
the biggest dude in the gym,
and you
who's-
listen to them.
And it's not always it's not that it wasn't good advice. There was always something else that was making them the biggest dude in the gym. You're like, that's why it's not working.
Excellent.
Do you remember your first gym you trained at? Like
Yeah,
when you,
Good Life. I'm still a member there.
Which one?
Good Life Chermside.
Sick.
Yeah, I joined there in 2007.
Yep. Wow.
I think that's when it first opened too.
Yeah. It was.
Were you there then?
I would have trained there in about 2007, probably 2008 actually.
Yep.
As a young fella, I was in
Do you
grade
guys ever
10.
cross paths?
We've crossed
We
paths. Like,
would've.
yeah, we've like blindly known each other for fucking X amount of years now, and then
The difference is, I need to envision him without a beard, because I probably knew beardless Brandon.
The chin. The crimson chin.
you would have known the crimson chin, and I would have known the mullet Matt.
The mullet Matt. Oh.
Can you please tell our dedicated listeners about said mullet before we continue about anything else?
We started
educational?
just before we started this podcast. We were mentioning I had a mullet in grade 12, and I actually went to schoolies with the mullet.
We're gonna find this photo of this mullet, and we're gonna put this in right now.
I had chops.
Oh,
I had sideburns.
Mullet and chops. That's outstanding.
It was amazing.
You could go back to it.
And I thought it was cool back then. Like, I thought that was the good thing to do.
Yeah.
I was like, back then I was into old school rock and metal, and kind of like, I like things in the 80s, I guess, and the 70s. So
I need to see this fucking photo. Like, we're stopping the podcast right now and finding.
Maybe we could just start growing it now. Just like do it again.
just do it again.
Yes.
Well, we're all pretty influential people in this industry. I'm sure if we do it, someone else will follow.
Yes.
Please don't.
More mullets.
No.
Absolutely.
I knew you'd love it.
Yeah.
That's insane. So you're a young fella. You're training at Good Life. What was the next step for you? Did you step into the personal training world, or was it something like once you left school, you're like, okay, I'm going to go to uni?
I actually graduated at 16, and I was born in 1990, but I just graduated a little bit younger. So I worked full time for a year.
Yep.
I was in a bakery. And then I went on. I wanted to get into university, and I wanted to go to UQ and study like physiotherapy. And
Yep.
my OP was 7, I think. Maybe my OP was worse than that. My OP was pretty bad, but I needed an OP of 5 or 6. And so I went and enrolled in a diploma of fitness, and that was the one at South Bank. And so that was a 6-month full-time Cert 3, 6-month full-time Cert 4, 1 year full-time diploma. And so I did that.
Oh, wow.
and then got my OP better. Then I went to university.
And university, because even back, like, not to put your age out there, but you are entering a new age
Not
bracket
30
this
yet.
year.
Yet.
But back then, exercise science, exercise physiology wasn't as big and prominent as it was now.
I hated it. I actually really disliked it, and I used to get into a lot of arguments because everything. Because back then, when let's say you've got to do an assignment, and it was assignments in particular, you had to back everything that you wanted to write by evidence, and there wasn't evidence back there to support
no
what
evidence.
I knew worked.
Yeah.
And so what you kind of had to do was just bullshit these assignments with literature that wasn't really like valid.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it really
Just shit you didn't
frustrated
believe
me.
in.
It really frustrated me, and I did university. So I was studying exercise physiology for 2 years, I think, and then I had like a year off because I got a heart infection.
So you got a heart infection.
I had a heart infection, so I had that too.
That's just like you really played that off as nothing.
Yeah,
Just a heart infection,
It
no
was
big deal. Year
it
off.
was like 6 months of being completely fucked. I think it was like 4 months of bed rest, and then it was like rehab for a year. But then I got like it just put me out of university for a good year.
Yeah. Shit.
And then I did exercise science, I think, for a year, roughly. Don't quote me on these, but it's roughly a year. And then I went to UQ. And so this was QUT, went to UQ. And I'm just saying this for the sake of, by the time of like 6 or 7 years, because I did 8 years of university, by the end of it, you could really see the change. You could really see the change of the evidence and the literature that was out there. And so it was almost like what the guys get to, all the evidence and literature that's out there today is kind of like what we know and what we practice. And so people are learning more effectively. And to answer your question, I think exercise science back then was
Do you remember anything
It
specific
sucked.
that you come across and you're like, man, that just doesn't work. That's dumb.
Even just how they programmed, just really stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
principles of programming sucked. Was progressive overload a thing back then? I don't know. Like I don't know if there was evidence to support it. Because it's only been like the last 4 or 5 years that's really become popular, and like social media's escalated everything with that too, with like all of your famous PhD type of Eric Helms, Lane Norton type of people. I think they've kind of helped boost the industry a bit quicker too. But yeah, it was behind for sure.
Because that was at QUT.
QUT, and I've done QUT and UQ. I studied both locations, and there was even a huge variance in what was taught in both of those universities.
Really?
And there was wars between them. Because I think you had this one dude, and his name was Professor Tony Shield.
I remember Tony. Yeah.
I worked with him for a while, and he was all about, I think it was Nordics and hamstring prevention.
Yeah, well, QUT created the
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't remember his name, but I met that person. The person's last name was Nordic. I can't remember his first name. He used to say that the hamstring was not involved in the squat. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I was just like, for fuck's sake, Tony. Like,
It just flaps around.
But I remember
Just flaps. Just
yeah, exactly. It just stops working.
as soon as you break your hips, turns off.
it's like I remember Tony and his,
Imagine you're standing, hamstring activated. As soon as you hinge, boom, gone.
yeah, you're done. I just remember Tony as this bloke and his like claim to fame. Like again, he's a professor, lovely dude. Like
He's fucking awesome. I love him.
Yeah, he's a great
He's
dude.
jacked as fuck.
But his claim was like having massive quads, but never squatting. And I'm like,
I thought he was a good squat. He was a powerlifter, wasn't he?
nah, because I remember like he was like, yeah, like that was his whole thing. And I'm like, okay, this explains why you think your hamstrings don't work in a squat because you don't fucking squat. That's what I think. That's where a lot of my gripe with university came from, because it was all like, what does this textbook say? Like, well, you don't know until you fucking test it on a person.
Yep. And so, for example, he would be all on that, and then you'd go to UQ, and they'd be like, oh, they practice this, which is wrong. And then UQ was really about over-obsessive about TA activation.
Yeah.
So I was like, you want to do a lat pull down? You got to activate that TA, otherwise you're going to fail the assessment. It's like, oh my God. And then the other kind of thing that just stands out from memory while I'm trying to think about it is the difference in let's say, under 18-year-old, like adolescence training, is like one university was all for it, and I think Tony was actually all for it. He used to talk about, I think his 7-year-old girls, they'd be weight training and doing all this type of stuff, whereas nope, can't do it at UQ. Absolute big no-no. And so
really?
it's just that variance, just that difference in...
Fuck. That's a frustrating path of education.
It was, and I still remember this, and I remember ranting about this like 5 or 6 years ago. Like, fuck, I just did this exam, and I answered things that I knew were incorrect just to get correct by their examination. It was,
And
it
you
was
got
actually,
them right?
it was really frustrating. Yeah, it was really frustrating for sure.
How's it now though? Do you keep much? Do you know?
I don't.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, I used to really go out of my way, and I'd probably spend 10, 20 hours a week doing like further education, keeping up to date with things, reading articles, ever since I've taken over the gym, I feel like I'm going backwards a little bit as a coach because I'm not staying up to date with the latest stuff that's coming out.
That's the frustrating thing about this industry though. Like, you've been in the industry probably the longest out of all three of us here as a coach. Like, how much has changed in your time?
Well, I remember when I first did my Cert 4, it was you do push, pull, legs, one exercise each, a lat pull down, no isolated movements because that's a waste of time, and only squat to where before your hips get a pelvic tilt. Don't fix it. Don't worry about fixing it. And then the best bit would be just load that fucker. So you'd see these quarter, if best, squats with 4 fucking plates on them getting done, and you're just like, and I was powerlifting at the time, so I knew enough to know better, but it's still tricky. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, fuck, I know I can squat to depth. And I know what it takes to squat that much fucking weight. And you've got these little skinny lunatics fucking cracking at the hips like...
Fuck. So, like,
people are just getting fucking broken.
I think I don't know how Cert 3 and Cert 4s are applied these days, but I think they might even be worse today than what they would have been a decade ago. Like when the course I did was actually really good. I really
South
rated
Bank, because I was TAFE, South Bank Diploma of Fitness.
It was.
They were actually apparently really good.
It was really good. And I mean, like when I say full time, you actually had to be there 38 hours a week.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really good.
And that's how I think the industry needs to go back to. Like I was just in talks about doing some lecturing with a company, which I won't name. It's to teach their course, and their courses, like their full-time course, was 3 3-hour sessions per week for 8 weeks, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I looked at the course, and I was like, "I'm not attaching my name to this."
Yeah, how do you do something you're not...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
how can I
yourself.
promote?
It's business, and the shit thing about it is I've had, since I've taken over this gym, about 6 or 7 different types of, I don't know what you call them, companies or certification courses ask me to be involved with them. And it's like, no, I don't know. I think it's ridiculous.
But it's almost...
But essentially, they know that they just need to tick X to get the certificate. Yeah. How can we just get people through as quick as possible? Everyone wants to be a person. We should start our own course. You know what I mean? It could be.
Fuck, you guys do a better job. The only problem is you probably wouldn't charge as much as they do because you're good guys, and then you would make it take so long because you want to fit so much information into it.
It'd be a free
so
course.
no one would fucking do it.
But that's the thing. Like, it's like what it takes. I remember leaving my Cert 3 and 4 thinking, I was like, fuck, I know everything. And then you quickly realise you know nothing. But what it actually takes to get to a position now where, 40 hours a week with clients booked out and to a standard where they're performing, even if it's not in sport, but you're getting results for each of those people. Like, to get to that level takes a lot further education than it did in the fucking Cert 3 and 4. And even in a uni degree. Like, I've had the pleasure of mentoring a lot of people from university, and I'm like, you missed the boat here. Like,
completely.
You can get a textbook and everything, but there's a real person in front of you that you need to, one, meet their expectations, but also get there a fucking result.
The biggest issue with the university degrees is I don't think there's any practical element that carries over with what they've learned. Same thing, I've probably mentored 15, 20 people that I studied with over the last 2 or 3 years because they've come to me because they're now out in the industry and they're just like, man, I don't know what to do. They don't know how to program. I'm not going to say names, but I've dead set. I've had a few people that have worked with professional sporting teams come to me and they were asking me questions about their programming, and we'd go through it and they wouldn't have a clue about just like progressive overload. I don't know, just like basic shit. And it's like, holy fuck, like you're working with professional sporting teams.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
I know, but this is the X-Phys example that I give to people, and I was like, you don't learn any practical element in X-Phys these days where you learn your prac is whoever you go out and do your prac with. The problem is everyone out in the industry sucks, mostly, and so you're learning off them, and then it's just a reoccurring thing of like bad practitioners in the industry. I was really lucky enough to learn off when I did my diploma. It was kind of being classified as this diploma in musculoskeletal rehab, and so I learned off a physiotherapist for 6 months, and he was so good. He was amazing. So he really taught me to get that iron, break down things. Where I'm going with that is I think physiotherapy is probably a really good. If you want to be a good coach, you need to know rehab, right? You need to know how to break down movement and develop that keen eye for movement and whatnot. I think you need to do something like that a little bit.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and it's not. I've had this conversation with so many like physios and ex-phys about where a strength coach has to stay in their lane of what their scope is, but it's like I need to have an understanding of what the physio does, or what an ex-phys does, of what an ex-scientist does, so that when you tell a client of mine, if I send them to you and you tell them to implement this, I understand its purpose in the greater scheme of the program. And I think that's a lot of issue with where therapy, as you said perfectly before, like that musculoskeletal physio, taught you how to break down movement, like really be watchful in the whole picture scheme. Like, injuries aren't just one point. Like if Johnny came to me and goes, "Oh, my pec's sore," the first question I'm gonna ask is, why is his pec sore? Not just go try and trigger his pec and go, it's just
exactly. And you're a better coach from it because let's say someone's shoulder's internally rotated. You know the basics of like their pec minus tight, their lat might be tight, their serratus anterior is weak, like all these type of things could be off. That's good. Like to work with advanced athletes, it's good to know how to break people down and fix them as well.
100%.
And I think that's where the good coaches come in. And I say you've done all the courses now, and you've worked with Jordan Shallow and stuff like that. This is how you become a good coach.
And it's just more exposure and experience in things you don't necessarily think matter. Like I remember, I'll go back to my good life days when I'm training arms 5 days a week. I couldn't give a fuck about my serratus anterior and overhead stabilization.
Put more weight in the boat.
Exactly. But then now that I've exposed myself to a higher level of athleticism or strength and be like, okay, I need to get better, but I also need to get better for my clients. It's that experience, and it only comes from being in the industry. So my mentors are people that have done this shit. Like, you mentioned Jordan Shallow. I work with Paul Pegler so closely, who I believe, and so does yourself. Everyone here in the room knows Paul, who's probably one of the smartest humans walking this planet. It's like, these are guys that have spent, Paul spent 17 years in this industry. Like, my hat goes off to you alone. I had 1 year in the industry and I was ready to kill someone. Like, it's amazing of what you can learn from people who have been in the industry doing it longer.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's almost a barrier to entry there because people don't want to go and find that extra learning.
Then they will never be a great coach. At the end of the day, they can fake it, but they won't last in the industry long. And if they do, they're just going to have a bad reputation.
Yeah.
And you see it, like, just look, like, I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure if we said whose clients keep getting injured over and over again, and you're going to have a few coaches or something that comes to mind, it's, have they done extra? What have they, I don't know how they've got to be.
And we're coming into a day and age, and I don't know if you fellas agree, you probably will, it's like where, with social media's introduction, if you're not up to date, you are going to get caught out. And we have every platform now to expose more of the shit. But if we flip it and change with perspective, like, there's also a lot of good avenues to expose the good in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about promoting that.
I don't know if you've ever really thought about this though, but there's not that many good coaches out there. In terms of there's not many good popular coaches. Like if you think powerlifting right now, if you had to name like 10, let's say you had to name 15 powerlifting coaches that were really successful, had big teams. Could you name 15 in Brisbane? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's but I could probably think of like 300 PTs. And so to be really good, you stand out by default if your clients get good success and people talk positive about you. That's the biggest thing.
That is literally something I have read this. I heard this the other day. It's like, I'm not going to lie to the people. I didn't read this. Come on, I fucking
Someone told you.
Someone told you.
But everyone's trying to be different by looking at the new course. You're trying to create a new fucking out of the box thing. It's like you could be your point of difference could just be getting results for someone in an industry where so many aren't. Like, that is the biggest point of difference.
There's two ways of building a team. I've purely built my team from word of mouth. I'm fucking hopeless with marketing. My social media sucks. I make like one post every 3 or 4 weeks. So it's really unideal. And the worst part about that is that I should feel bad because I should post more about my clients. But I don't. But that's one way of building. And the other way is I think you're fantastic with social media. Like, you're really, really good with it. You always post
so little F into it, so thank you so much.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you constantly post powerlifting content and you're the powerlifting coach to go to. But you haven't done anything stupid too.
That's your angle there, Matty. Your clients become your billboard.
Exactly.
And so, they are your story. Like they're talking. How many? Let's say you got 10 clients, 20, whatever. They're talking to 5, 6, 7, 8 of their friends, and it's just you don't need that.
But even if they don't talk, that people see their progress, and it's like, holy shit! Like, man, you're squatting,
results
pulling,
speak louder than anything.
Look better, yeah.
And that's the best 100%. Thing. Like, and I love from Johnny's angle, like, you started this without the age of social media. So, like, back in your course, talking to people was priority. And, like, I love the stories of Johnny going around to, like, random businesses and just talking to them. The amount of people, and you would have done the same thing, the amount of people you mentor and just go talk to people, and they're like, like, on Messenger? Yeah. No. I mean, like, face to face.
I don't just put a Facebook post up, my shirt off.
Well, it would probably work if you're him, but not us. Yeah.
You know what's also important though? There's so many elements to being a good coach. You can't just know how to break someone down. It's like you need people skills. Oh, yeah. You need to be able to socialize with people and them not to hate you.
Well, I think that part's highly missed by a lot of people.
Yeah,
100%. You can be the smartest dude in the room and know everything about every piece of movement, but if you got no personable skills and actually be able to talk to someone, actually give a shit about them as a human, like, they're not going to hang around.
That's the biggest thing. Like, people miss the boat. It's like, there is a human being in front of you with real feelings, real problems, real injuries, and, like, they need you, not to just always be a coach.
But you're a friend and you become like a part of family. Yeah. I actually had this conversation with someone 4 or 5 days ago, so it's fresh in my mind, but I had to think about, let's say I've got 35 people on my team right now that are permanent, see me each week. Almost all of them are like close friends or feel like family in some way. Yeah. There's not very few, there's not just like those one-off clients that just like, they're my client. They're actually like, you build quite a good relationship with them. So if people can't build relationships,
I think
one of the good coach.
One of the years ago, a coach I worked with, like, he just told me, he's like, I'm just gonna train a bunch of people that I would want to go out and have dinner with.
100%. If you do that, mate, you won't work a day in your life.
Exactly. Like,
you'll have a good time and actually really genuinely give a shit about those people you look after.
Yeah. It's taken a long time to get here, but now we're in a pretty sick situation where we have such a good job.
Oh, 100%.
We literally have one of the best jobs. We get to come here.
We get to come here and talk shit.
And be in the fucking gym all day.
Exactly. There's probably someone listening to this going, that sounds horrible. And it's like, well, okay.
Stop listening, please.
Yes, stop listening because...
The wrong podcast.
And go to the gym. Start squatting. Learn to like it.
Yeah, if you don't squat, please don't listen to us.
I know my client base is simple. I want them to be people I would have around for a barbecue or a dinner.
Yeah.
And if I didn't want to do that, if they're not that person, then I'm not the right person to look after them as well, because I'm not going to invest or buy into them.
Here's a question for you. How long, and this is to both of you, how long did it take for you to say no to a client?
Oh, I did in the first year or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I think I coached and PT'd for a while, and then heart infection, I had about 3 years off, and then I came back, and I probably had 2 years of taking on people that I may not wanted to have.
Yeah.
And now, I'm going to say the last 18 months, 2 years has been,
It's almost like when you first get in the industry, it's like, you take whatever you can get. See what kind of, like, what's your, what flavor you mix with and what kind of person you gel with. 100%. And then once you figure that out, like, as soon as I made the decision to work with people who just wanted to get fucking strong, man, did my fucking coaching business, one, take off, but also my life get easier.
And the product and the service you provided your client got better.
100%, because then I was
only looking after people that you want to look after.
It's like if people come to me for weight loss, I'm like, oh no, I just had a fucking quarter pounder. I'm not that bloke. I'm not that bloke to talk to.
What is it? Is it every Tuesday you get McDonald's delivered, or is that Brock?
It's me for Brock. So, like, yeah, every Tuesday, 5 p.m, Brock comes in and we'll train, but we'll also get Maccas. Like, last night I had 10 chicken McNuggets. It was the fucking greatest fucking day of my life.
You know, before I was educated on nutrition, I used to be that asshole. This is when I first started powerlifting. I was really uneducated with nutrition. And I used to sit at the front of Good Life cast iron, because that's where I started my powerlifting little journey. And I would eat like McDonald's and KFC, and I just like, people would look at me and I just look them in the eyes and I'd be I used to eat so much. I'd be eating McDonald's like 3 times a day at one point.
You just look at me and I was like, yeah, you wish you were me. See this? I got a lump there. It's a bicep.
Was that your first coaching as well, over in Good Life as well?
No, I was around South Bank where I started.
Yeah,
Yep.
sick.
Fuck, so what, yeah, how'd you go from eating Maccas 3 times a day because now being the probably you did bodybuilding. That's
yeah,
right.
and even going back then, I did my first bodybuilding show in 2015. So I did GPC Nationals.
Yes, you did.
And then I started prepping the day after that. Oof. And I remember trying to, once again, like, I don't think I was very nutritious for this first prep, but I just knew what to do. I was like, I put myself in a big calorie deficit, learned about macronutrients, and dieted myself down. But right thereafter, Scott, at this point in time, I was looking at actually opening up PTC Sunshine Coast. I really wanted to open up my own gym in the Sunshine Coast. And Scott asked me after I won my competitions if I'd take on the role of a nutrition coach in this gym. And I was like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. So I went and did a nutrition science degree. I actually started, I did have a little bit of an idea of what I was doing because everyone done pretty well under me. But I had to learn pretty fast from there on end. And yeah, nutrition science probably opened my eyes up a little bit.
Can we confirm or deny that you once told Scott Washington to drink pancake mix to put calories?
I never told him to do that. Absolutely not. I think that was his choice to do that. He was on a lot of calories. Don't get me wrong, but never once would I say you should drink your pancake mix.
Pancake mix. That is
next level.
That's a lot of calories.
That is a lot of calories. Fuck. Because he used to do that. Did he just get sick of...
He used to eat some pretty calorie-dense food. But I don't know if I could be covered under insurance by recommending
giving that recommendation or guidance.
Yeah. That's
fantastic.
Funny.
It is funny, though. He did eat some pretty hugely calorie-dense shakes and liquids. I think he was eating... pancakes and bacon at one point with ice cream.
That sounds about like what Scott Wasson
That's
do.
That's a Scott Wasson thing to do for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then can you next question?
And you know the freakiest thing about him, just while we're there, we built him up and he had a DEXA scan done, and I think at just under 100, I think he's 99.8 kilos or something. He was under 10% body fat. He was jacked.
Yeah.
Like he got pretty big.
That's like Scotty Wasson in that photo up on the when he's pulling.
I think that was around then. Yeah.
Yeah. He was jacked.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's the bloke, and I respectfully say this in case you are listening, Scott, but you look at him and you're like, this bloke's never trained a fucking bicep curl or an accessory in his life.
I'm going to add this in just to throw some banter. But while he was 100 kilos, myself and him at the time had a race to see who could get 15-inch arms the first. And it was a race, 15-inch, that's fucking tiny. Like, I don't know, that's pretty small. Like, I was 70 kilos at the time. He was 100. And it actually taken 18 months to get there. But I ended up winning. Who won? I ended up winning. I don't know if he's ever got past 15 inches. But he could pull 330.
I know. Fuck. You look at him and you're like, mate, what? You're a stick. And then he takes his shirt off and you're like,
his back is
it's just
thick.
lats.
His erectors are just fucking tree trunks.
Oh. Shout out Scott Wasson.
Do you remember? So do you remember your first day working into PTC Brisbane?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how long ago was that?
5 years ago, I think. 2015.
Yes.
I've been here. I've been a member since I think 13.
Yep.
And started working here around 2015.
It's the end of
2015. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Did you ever see yourself taking over Valhalla?
No. Well, I wanted to own one,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to own my own gym, and so like that's been a vision of mine since high school. I've always wanted to have my own gym. So when the opportunity came along, I'd never thought Scott would have sold it. But when the opportunity came along, I was like, okay, there's a lot of hard. My goal was 35 years old. When I was 35, I wanted to have achieved X amount of things in my life, and I was like, let's take over a gym. And then I was 27.
And now you look 35.
Now I look
owning
35.
a gym is stressful.
Now I get fortnightly haircuts so people can't see my grey hairs.
Do you remember the first day you walked into here and the place was yours? What did it feel like?
Oh man, I was so stressed.
Yeah.
It was so go from the get go, and I mean the first 4 to 6 months of me taking over, I genuinely averaged about 4 hours sleep a night, and there were some days days in a row of no
That's
sleep.
more sleep than expected.
Yeah, like literally and that was 7 days a week, 3 or 4 months in a row. It was insane, and it's one of those things where I didn't even really. There were so many things to learn that people wouldn't think about. That I just winged it. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to work as hard as I can. Hopefully I don't fuck up. If I do, I'll deal with it. And I managed to not make any mistakes, which was really cool. But yeah, it was insane. But now it's still ridiculous. It's still ridiculous, but we've come a long way, which is really cool.
Just for everyone listening, so we're actually in my office right now, and I share a wall with Matt. And I hear the stresses of all the problems of owning a gym through these walls. They're quite thin.
Do you actually?
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just like, how many C words have you heard the last month?
It's all right. I drop it every day.
But it must also be a pretty proud moment at the same time. Like
It's awesome. It's like, for example, things like when I held the first competition here, when I taken over, and I put like 100 hours into this, like 100 hours of organising. When we got the grandstands and we moved all the equipment out, and I got like tied up partnerships with the food vans and the coffee vans, all that type of stuff. There was just so much involved, and I was exhausted. Like I was ready to just like pass out. And then the first day when everyone walks in and there's huge grandstands and you're on the platform and everyone's loving it, like the music was insane. Because remember, we used to have like one speaker, or there's two speakers. And we never used to have the fan or anything. So like being able to do that, like you put 100, 150 hours of work into something and then you see it, it was like, this is fucking awesome. This is really, really cool. And then, yeah, some days, like I'll be in the gym on a Saturday or Sunday by myself and I'll just look around the walls and I'll be like, this is cool. This is really cool.
That's like one of the biggest things, and I think it's a compliment to yourself. Like you have a vision of this. I always said before you took over this place that Scott Watson would always run the best comps, best powerlifting comps. You added to that. Queensland by far run the best powerlifting comps. It's insane. Like you walk into a gym, you get chairs out on the gym floor and stuff. You put a fucking grandstand in this place.
It takes a lot of work. Like just because we've live streamed the last event, I think I saved about 20 hours of setting up and packing up.
Yeah, 100.
It takes about 10 hours
how
to
much
move
fun
all
is
the
setting up and
equipment.
packing up equipment, bro?
All the equipment out the gym.
You both run comps, so
Yeah.
you're both right now like, thank you
Yeah.
so much, COVID. You saved me 20 fucking hours.
Gym shit's heavy.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard.
That is the biggest understatement.
It sucks.
And just like running 2-day events, I knew when I ran states this year that I was gonna get sick. I was like, okay, I know I need to put 2 or 3 days off because I'm gonna get sick. I was sick for like a week, then I came back and work, and then I was sick for like another week afterwards. It just wiped me out.
They're massive like events. Like even as a coach, coaching of those things, everyone walks away wiped, even competing. But I think a lot of people forget the effort it takes to run those events.
To organise it, to deal with, I reckon you'd probably deal with this 50, 60 emails leading into a competition of questions. And
How good are the questions when the answer's already written in 6 different places across websites and Facebook pages?
I shouldn't talk shit about people. I don't want to seem like an asshole, but like I've dead set with certain emails, I'll highlight things that I know I'm going to get questioned. I'll highlight the email and it'll be in the first paragraph, and then someone will like ring me up. And I'll just take a big breath and I'll like try and keep cool. And I'm like, you've had to get my number off of this email.
This email,
Which already had the fucking info.
It's just, yeah, I won't throw too much chat, but yeah, we get some funny questions.
I love it. I just pick my head in and I'm like, Poor Matt.
No, it's just honest mistakes. I think people just, yeah, we're only human. But then you deal with it 50, 60 times. It's like, holy shit.
Your faith in humanity gets lost.
No, you know, funny enough, it's the novice comps. I find the novice comps are the easiest comps to run. GPC comps, it's like, did you forget what's involved in a competition? Like, how many bloody times I get asked for certain things about event details? I'm like, it's on the registration email. It's all there. Nothing's changed.
And you spend a lot of time doing that email.
We do.
A lot of time, putting a lot of words in there that fucking sum it all up so you don't have to have fucking dumb questions.
And they still come. And as you said, we're only human. All right, Johnny's words. They do not reflect the what is it? Views of the platform podcast.
Yeah.
Little fucking.
But no.
This is why I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna coach.
It's amazing, man. Like, it is hard. I tell you what, the hardest thing was taking over the gym. Well, not one of the hardest, but one of the shit things right now is the amount of inquiries I get from coaching. And you only want to cap your coaching team at X, right? And I used to have it at 40, and I had to cull it to 30 when I taken over the gym because I was just wiped out. And now I'm getting coaching inquiries 2 or 3 times a week from like really awesome people. And I can't take them on because I'm just exhausted. And I was like, fuck, you feel like a piece of shit. It's like my favorite thing to do, and I can't take people on.
When did that line, like, because one of the biggest things, I've struggled with in part is taking on too much. Mm-hmm. Was it a point where you were getting sick all the time or something where you're like, oh, I need to fucking pull back?
Yeah, probably that. You know what changed was I dead set my average sleep would have been 6 hours or less up until COVID. And then for the first time in my life, I was sleeping normally.
Weird, eh?
It was.
How good was COVID sleep, though?
Yeah. So I was getting like an average of 8.5 maybe. Like, it was pretty good. And then I let myself, I said to myself, I don't want to change this. Especially for my training was awesome. My training was awesome during COVID because and I reckon I grew like twice as quick. Because imagine I was getting results sleeping 4 hours a day. And I used to say to all my clients and my mates, and then I'd be like, I'm doing pretty well right now. What would happen if I slept 8 hours?
Yeah.
And then it worked quite well. And so like right now, sleeping more is hard because I'm falling behind on work even right now. I'm probably 2 or 3 weeks behind on my work right now. And it's stressful. Yeah. I probably haven't drawn the line soon enough. That's to answer your question.
Well, then I really appreciate you taking an hour and a bit out of your day to talk to us 2 idiots.
Yeah.
Look
It's
at that.
very good.
It's beautiful.
So what's bodybuilding like for you now, bro? Is there time for that in your life at the moment?
Right now, ever since I just finished about 6-7 weeks ago, I was prepping for a bodybuilding show.
Yep.
And I've obviously called it because shows have been called off. And so right now I'm just doing a maintenance phase. Mm-hmm. I've literally halved my volume, which is the thing is you need to do a lot of work to grow. You need to do a lot of work to get better. You don't need to do that much training to maintain. And so maintaining right now, my nutrition's on point still. I'm literally just being a little bit more social in the gym. If I'm doing bodybuilding training in the gym, I look like an arsehole because I don't want to talk to people. Like, you have your 2 minutes rest, you're going as hard as you can, like you're out of breath, like you feel like dying. I don't want to talk to anyone.
I'm doing
powerlifting.
I like it when he's doing bodybuilding training and he just looks so jacked.
It's nice to look at.
His arms are fucked.
And then powerlifting is completely different. And it's hard doing bodybuilding training in a powerlifting gym because there's a huge social element. You have your 5-6 minutes rest. You support everyone else. People want to have a chat. Then you get back on, do your next set. You amp up for 1 or 2 minutes before your set. Do it again. Bodybuilding's completely different. Now I'm being a little bit more social, spending more time on business, trying to catch up on business. I'm just maintaining for 20 weeks. That's what my goal is.
It's got to be a good feeling too, just having a little bit more time to chinwag with some of the members and coaches while you're on the floor and just sort of being in there with everyone else.
People are like, oh, Matt's not an arsehole. And I was like, no, I'm always working on training.
That guy's all right.
No, I'll compete next year.
Sick.
Yeah, season B, which is we're talking October, November next year.
Yep.
That's when I'll do probably my last bodybuilding show for 2 or 3 years because I really want to go back into powerlifting. I've got my goal is essentially this: one more bodybuilding show, try and get a ProCard.
Yep.
800 kilo total.
Fucking
I'm really keen on the 800
kind
total.
of just canned my next question of what's next for you.
800 at what body weight do you reckon you'd have to
I don't
be
care. So
140
I don't.
it is. There we go.
Yeah, like I
Can't
know.
order this podcast.
I know I'll be
Not
sitting.
say that.
I'll be sitting around 105. I think. I'm not going
No,
to
you
try
won't.
and.
You'll be at 140.
Yeah, well, look, let's just go to 140. Let's not put a limit
Can you
on
imagine
it.
his arms at 140?
I think I'd have a heart attack. It would not be ideal.
Hey, but would
Do you total 800?
I think the total more. With the amount of muscle you have right now and how strong you are, we put another fucking what? What are your body weight now?
I'm sitting at 95.
We put another 45 kilos of muscle on you. We got this.
We'll need a DEXA scan on that.
It was just post-COVID, first client back at the gym. Music was off. It was really quiet. There was no members at the time. And I realised, because I was sitting at 97 kilos and I put on quite a bit of muscle during that time, every time I finished a sentence, I was puffing. I was like, oh my God, I'm so out of breath. Like, if I'm out of breath at 97, man, me at 115,
Okay, well, let's mend the
me at
middle.
115 is not going to be
125.
ideal.
125 sounds good. Okay, cool. You're competing the 125s? Perfect.
You learn to embrace that heavy breathing. Like you adapt and overcome. It's fun.
It's
Sit down a lot
adapt,
more.
It would be a
optimize.
lot of food. I do enjoy eating, so
Yeah, you got this. I back you. Sweet.
that's actually quite a lot of calories. It'd be interesting to see if I could physically get there.
What do you reckon you'd have to eat? How much?
Well, right now I'm sitting at just at 4,000 to maintain. 4,400 was my growing. So I think to get to that, like 12,000. I'm sure there's going to be like...
You can just drink pancake mix. I heard it's really
pancake
good.
mix.
Scott couldn't get past 100 kilos though.
I know. Even I've had competitions with Scott with Scott and been like, all right, let's go. First person to 105 body weight. And he just didn't budge. But the cunt, and I say that with love, he trained like 6 weeks for that SimCity comp a couple of years ago, whatever. And then he squats 277, bench like 150, and pulled 325. I was like, fuck you, Scott. In the nicest way possible, fuck you.
He's a neurological freak. I don't actually think I've come across anyone else that's... I think that's the best way to describe it. I think he's neurologically just superior.
I prefer the word asshole.
Superior.
That's
asshole.
it. Like,
A
right?
superior asshole.
He could not bench press for a year, and then he could do 2 or 3 bench sessions and he's benching 150. I was like, seriously, if I didn't bench for 3 weeks, I'm going to bench like 80 kilos.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a weak piece of shit naturally.
But again, like even in that push-pull at the end of last year, he benched twice. One of them was in 3 sets of 10 at 80 kilos. Another one was like 2 sets of 5 at 110. And he benched 140 at push-pull and then pulled 315. I was like, you are a freak.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And insulting.
Who else comes to mind that's that good though?
I think we're very privileged because we've seen a lot of freaks.
We have seen a lot of freaks.
Like throughout the history of just Valhalla and PTC Brisbane, like we've had the joy of training people like Ricky Goodyear. Bryce Cleary's one that comes to mind.
I don't think Ricky's new. I think Ricky's just a really hard worker.
Ricky's a hard worker. Nick Wilson's probably another one. That guy the other week pulled 240, and I'm like, you haven't deadlifted in how long? Like, fuck me. I think we are very blessed with the caliber of lifters that this gym has attracted over the years.
And you know what? There's some of the best lifters that I've actually come across, and they don't want to do powerlifting comps. They just have natural talent and they don't care for it.
Yeah.
That pisses me off a little bit. That's a little bit agitating. I've had one girl under me once. I'm not going to say who she was, but I reckon she would have won nationals overall 2 years ago. And the first time we went to wrap her knees, she didn't like it, so she quit. And I mean, like, I think she was going to deadlift more than triple her body weight, and she was natural. Like, she's just absolute phenomenal freak.
Jesus.
Good genetics. Yeah, her whole family had
Fucking
good
natural
sporting.
talent. Wish I had some.
Like, I've been wanting to triple body weight deadlift like 10 years now.
You know what the problem is? As we get heavier, that number gets extremely heavier.
It does, absolutely.
It's just like natural talent people. Fuck you. I have to put things in my body to make me just normal.
Yeah.
Doesn't even work.
So where do you see the world of the gym business and stuff going?
Man, my
in the
goal is to
future,
have
bro?
the best powerlifting gym in the world. That's it. I'm pretty adamant on that. I want people to know all around the world this is the best powerlifting gym that exists. And I've got, like, we've just ordered 3 ton of Alico plates.
Plates?
I just want to do things that I want people to walk in and not only be like, this is a really good gym. I want people to walk in and be like, what the fuck? Like, that's just stupid. Like, what?
Yeah.
I want just to blow people's minds. I want this to be a place that people look forward to when they wake up in the morning and they're going to come here and, yeah.
That's fucking cool,
But
man.
yeah, best powerlifting gym in the world. That's definitely it. Funnily enough, my old goal used to be best bodybuilding gym in the world, but I've definitely really started. Powerlifting's kind of my thing now. Absolutely.
Do you think it's cool seeing the two come together?
Yeah, and I think it's the best way to grow powerlifting. One of my strategies of growing the sport in powerlifting was to combine both together, because bodybuilders are fucking hopeless in their off season. Most of them, like. Not your pros, not the really, really good ones, but just your newbie. There's thousands of people doing bodybuilding and they'll prep for a show, but they won't do an off season. Let's get them into powerlifting in the off season, so they've got something to train hard for.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And how much would it complement them going back to bodybuilding?
Exactly. And if you watch like my history and career, I've literally gone 4 powerlifting comps, I think 3 bodybuilding, 2 powerlifting, 2 bodybuilding, and I was contemplating doing push-pull this year, but I won't do it now that I've hurt my back. So yeah, it's just back and forth.
So you see the training as a nice complement to bodybuilding. You know, it has its place in there.
It has its place. It's hard to... Once you get to an advanced level, though, you shouldn't be lifting that heavy. The amount of neurological fatigue that you get is going to have a negative carry to the amount of overall volume that you could do as a bodybuilder, which I think is important.
Yeah, because that volume's going to put the size on.
Yeah. And so for me, like, my legs have always been... They were actually, like, out of proportion big last time I competed. So my volume the last 1 year, my leg volume was 9% of my overall program. So
really?
91% was upper body, 9% was lower. But the lower was just high intensity. So that's when I was doing the deadlifting and you see me pull... I didn't fucking ripped out of my hands. I was hoping to pull 275. What did I finish? I think I finished at 250 for sets of 6.
Yeah.
So I think that's like high intensity.
Yep.
But
Just a little bit.
that was good.
It was pretty intense watching your face go the same color as that book beside you that's red.
You know what the funny thing, like reflecting back on the last 3 or 4 weeks of that training block, was I kept asking people to stand behind me in case I passed out, and just looking at people's faces in the videos. Kane was freaking out.
Kane was like, what do I do if he falls? And because, like, obviously you deadlift,
But I'm so
you had
grateful
straps
for
on
it.
as well.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, if he falls, he's going to fall forward.
I'm just gonna I'll bang my head.
I love you, Kane.
But it really helps mentally. It helped me psychologically, so I'm grateful for it. Especially when you have big guys like Kane who are super strong behind you, man.
Don't give him too many compliments. Come on.
But yeah,
Fuck yeah.
That's pretty exciting, bro. And yeah, the bodybuilding comp will be sick next year as well. What division do you compete in?
I have been doing physique purely for the perspective that I always want to get a pro card. It was one of those bucket list goals.
Yep.
You pretty much get 1 pro card a year.
Yep.
And that's, I don't know if you guys know much. You
No,
familiar with bodybuilding?
No, 0.
No, none. So Arnold Schwarzenegger competed in like the Olympia, right? Let's say that's the best. Like the Olympia is the Olympics. To get into the Olympia, you need to have won X amount of pro shows. To get into the pro shows, you need to win a pro card. And there's pretty much like 1 pro card given out a year.
From each state,
from each
country,
like category.
Yep.
Yeah, and so Australia's giving out, I think, 2 pro cards a year right now per category. And then you need to qualify to get into the pro shows, so you need to win like 2 or 3 of them, and then you need to get to the Olympia. So it's a really big deal. Like, to actually get there is quite hard.
Yeah.
It's not one of those silly things where we've got 100 pros walking around. We probably have I think we have 1 active physique pro in Australia right now. That's it. And so it's a pretty big deal, and I think it would just be cool to do that. Classic physique's how I'd go. That's like your 70s, 80s bodybuilders where you're not wearing your G-strings, but you're wearing like your trunks.
That's a good look, though.
I really like the 70s. I like classic physique. I'm a big fan of it, and I will happily
like a mutant science experiment.
Yeah, I'll cap the weight class out for it. So
Yep. What's the weight class for?
For my height, it's 93 kilos, and I would have rocked up around 92 on stage this year.
Yep.
So 12 months time,
You'll be pushing.
I dare say I'm hoping to be a little bit too big, and I'll have to like cut and do some strategic cutting to make weight for it.
Like, how lean are we talking? When you're
3%. Yeah.
Jesus.
The goal would be to have around 2 kilos of body fat. And so last comp I had 3.5 kilos and I wasn't happy. and I was sitting at 4.5% last comp, I want to get leaner. And I can easily get leaner.
That's fucking lean.
That's insane.
How are you feeling on stage then at that point?
It's funnily enough, I actually feel quite good.
Yeah.
Every bodybuilding show I've done, because you do so much cardio and it feels good. There's probably a lot of adrenaline going at the same time. But I tell you what, it was fucking cool. The first, especially after the last comp, and I've even got them now still. I've got you got striations in my glutes. That's when you know you've done bodybuilding right.
Would you like to show the camera?
Let's turn this to a...
This is now, we've got the couch.
Hands only.
Then I actually don't. It's just this big hairy ass. It's not.
Yeah.
But
Well, mate, the members will pay $5.99 a week for that.
No, there's someone out there
is
with
this
that fetish.
OnlyFans the platform podcast?
We started the platform.
Hey, we're just a business, bro. We're trying to make money.
There's no money in podcasts.
You
We need
get
to make
one
it somewhere.
subscriber.
Yeah, we just
Then it's
use
my
this as a
girlfriend.
portal to send people to the
Exactly.
to the fans only, and off we go.
Hey, smart business.
It is.
Exactly
Now,
right. Oh, here we go.
10 questions.
Let's do it.
Hang on a sec.
The most like
Well, now the last question was the most important question. This is the next
10
most
important
important. Well, yeah, they're more important as they
So
go.
we have 9 questions.
10 questions.
10 questions.
Each one
Okay.
more important than the next.
Okay.
Yes. Are you ready? You have 30 seconds to talk to the world.
Oh, shit.
Ready,
Okay.
set, go.
so you can say anything to the world.
Oh, I'm asking questions.
No.
We're going to start again.
I thought you
get
were
to say whatever you want to the world. Starting.
And I have 30 seconds.
30
Imagine
seconds
you have like
to
your
talk about-
broadcasted all over the world.
Yep. What do
You
you
have
tell the
30
world?
seconds to say whatever's in your heart.
There's so much pressure.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
I'm just going to say to anyone that's looking to get healthier or strong, they should totally come to our gym. We've got one of the most supportive communities
10 seconds.
that's around. We've got some of the smartest coaches at this facility. You know what? I would actually say if I had to say anything, it was like, if you're passionate about something, follow your dream. Like, work your ass off. Yeah. Work your ass off. Find something you're passionate about. That's it.
I love it.
Time's up.
I love
God,
it.
that was stressful. My heart rate actually elevated.
We need to get.
If I had to really think about that, it would be like, it would be one of those follow your dreams type of talks.
Yeah, I love that.
What's the strangest thing you own or the strangest thing you do or think about?
I don't own anything weird. I'm just going to say something that's funny. With things that you do, I don't think I do anything. I'm not a normal person. But let's talk about this because it was something I had a conversation with someone a few days ago. Are you a scrunch or a folder when you take a shit?
I'm a folder.
But
Do you look at the toilet paper after you're done to make sure you finished wiping?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if that was a strange thing or not.
No, that's normal. You don't want to get up with like
I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I'm a folder. I definitely don't scrunch.
I'm a folder, and
I don't
then
understand
you have
people
to
who-
check.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you wipe from behind or in front?
I go because I've had this conversation. I go back to front.
Yeah.
And people get real weirded out. 'Cause they're like, don't you get shit in your balls? I'm like, my asshole's not at my balls.
Yeah, exactly.
This
long way
conversation
away.
went
Good.
very.
This is where I wanted it to go.
Exactly. It's like, I've had anyway.
Takes the pressure off me, and it's on all of us.
What's the most important quality of a human?
This is in a lot of context, but I'm going to say their heart.
Lovely. What made-up word would you like to see enter the English language?
Buddy-ola.
What does that mean?
I said it yesterday, and a few people laughed at me, and I was like, that was a word that I've used for 10, 12 years to my old gym body. It was like, let's do it, buddy-ola. It's just, I'm going to say that's, the definition would be gym partner, buddy.
What's your first memory?
Oh, I bet.
I think it was actually like we used to have a veggie patch at my first house, and I think it was something like the vegetable garden.
Sick. How do you feel about wombats, Matt?
Yeah, I have no feelings about them.
Excellent. What's something you learned last week?
You can probably talk about it here. I actually did a bit of study on BPC 157 last week.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, which
What'd you
is a
find out?
body healing peptide, by the way, everyone.
It's good.
It's very good.
Definitely not encouraging the use of anything illegal.
I am.
Just looking at dosages and
Lovely.
application.
What is your perfect Saturday arvo/night?
Fuck me, man. I'm normally in the gym, so I'm still normally working. The perfect one. Good food. Probably the beach or somewhere.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
What's the last thing you're going to say before you die?
Depends how I'm going out. I'd like to go out like Genghis Khan, but do you know how he went out?
Vaguely.
How'd he go?
I think he went out. Didn't he have like 200 wives, and he went out having sex?
Did he?
That'd be the best way to die.
With all 200 of them.
This is no longer family friendly, but
Damn.
No, 201 person orgy. That's that's a good way to go.
it would be the best way.
So I
to
think
go.
your last words would be, ugh. And on that note, well, I feel like that was a really good part of the podcast, but everyone's looking at me real weird.
I don't know. I don't have any
now.
sayings, so that's how I'd like to die.
Well then, Matt, for those listening, which have probably tuned off after I said all that, where
Or
can people
tuned in.
find you?
Fans only.
Do you actually have an OnlyFans?
I don't. I have joked that I should make one.
He does, people. I will link
Yeah.
you to it.
Just go on my Instagram and / that LinkedIn
Yeah, Linktree.
that LinkedIn tree. OnlyFans.
But yeah, where can people find you?
Here in the gym, we talk about contacts.
Yeah.
Matt at valhallastrength.com.au. Yeah, that's
Sick.
it.
Instagram.
Man,
Instagram.
Yeah.
Matthew Gorle. That's it. I don't have any fancy names. Just
Keep forgetting your actual name's Matthew.
yeah, Matt's what everyone calls me.
Yeah, you're just Matt. But we'll throw that all up in the show notes and a link to Valhalla. Come down, check us out. We are a great gym. Man, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been a fucking pleasure.
No problem.
And we will be... Oh, I was like, what are you doing? We're clapping. That's what we're doing. 3, 2, 1.